Here's a quote from Stephen Hawkins. The development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. It would take over on its own and redesign itself at an ever increasing rate. Humans, who are limited to a slow biological evolution, couldn't compete and would be superseded. Stephen Hawkins. But let's enjoy it while we can with robots such as the Robo-Mow, as you see here. Robots that can mow your lawn for you. Robots that could vacuum for you, clean your house, clean your pool, clean your gutters. All these robots need programming and programmers. And that's where we're going with the next lesson in automation. Head back into Scratch and start a new project by going to the Create tab at the top of the list here. If you are having trouble signing in, you may need to check your email and reply to confirm your email address, and then sign in. So I'm hitting Create. So what I'm going to do with this lesson is create a bumper car rink on my stage. Create a bunch of cars that are automatically told what to do. They move forward, they run into something, they bounce off, they turn, they go different directions. Very similar to the robot vacuum, the robot lawnmower, and things of this nature. So first thing I need to do is go ahead and click and delete the sprite that is automatically on there. I don't want him anymore. So I go down to the sprite window in the lower left hand or lower right hand side here and click and delete him out of there. Now I'm going to draw my own sprite. So I go over, choose a sprite. I'm going to paint a car. Coming over to my painting window. And again, I'll go very simple here. I'll just create a square, choose a color, and you can run through the color menu. Okay. You may want to choose the same color that I choose because later on it might get confusing to you as to what color you are I'm talking about, as opposed to what you see on your screen. So I'm going to do complementary colors, so I'm going to choose blue, but I can make it any color blue, any shade of blue, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'll create a car here, right in the center of the screen, and I could put in, first I would need to make sure that I have a bumper, so I'll just create a line, and I'll increase the line thickness to be, say, 30, and then choose a color, and I'm going to choose a color for my line that is complementary to the blue car. So a complement color would be orange. So I'll go out here, I'll draw an orange bumper for the front of my car. Now of course I could draw windshields and decorate it any way you would like, but much like a bumper car at the amusement park, you're going to have very similar cars throughout, so it won't matter. So you can spend a little bit more time here on drawing one car because we will just duplicate the car later on. So I go ahead and draw a bumper so on the front, but I also can do a windshield on. Oop. And however else you want to decorate it would be fine. Now that I have my car created, as you see here, I'm going to go over to the other tab for coding, and I'm going to create a tab to automate his movement. So I'll start off with control, or actually event, and go when clicked, forever, and motion move by 10. So if I click on my car, you'll see he goes forward and sometimes off the screen entirely. Listen, if you can't even find your car anymore because it's gone off the screen, you can always go back over here to the motion block and say come back over to 0, 0. And I don't want to attach this to anything because I don't want it to happen unless I click on it. So I can say 0 and then 0, and that will put me right back in the center of the screen here. So when I do click on this, it moves the car right back to the very center of the stage. Ahead and I stop that script from happening here, okay? So, because now I need to create a rink, something to keep the bumper cars all in the same place. So I will now go to my backdrops to draw a rink. And I'm in the backdrops back here. I'm going to paint my own rink. I'll come over here. I'm just going to fill in a large square with gray. Okay, so I have my square drawing attached here. Go in for fill, and I'll just pick a gray. And that will be the concrete ground of the bumper car rink. So now I can open it up, and I have a white outline around it. As you see here, a white outline set to 30. So that's a nice thick line. I like that, but I'm going to change that to a black background or a black border. Okay, and then I can also adjust the size. Okay, but I don't want it to come off the screen. So I can adjust the size like this, bring it over, but I want to keep that full 30 unit border all the way around the bumper car rink. As you can see on my stage here, the cars here and the backdrop has gone behind it because I drew it in the stage area backdrop over here. And so now I have my car and I'm ready to give it some more directions here. So I'm going to go to code, and then nothing shows up. Where's my code? This is still the backdrop. It's the code for the backdrop. That's no good. So I'm going to go over here, click on my sprite, and now I found my code is revealed again. So what I want to do is tell the car that when the bumper hits the border, it's going to bounce off, it's going to turn, it's going to do different things. So let's go ahead and try to program that now. Basically saying is, if this bumper sees the wall, bounce off. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say control, look for the controls, and I'm going to look for an if-then statement right there. If-then, so forever if, put that in there, but this goes ahead of it. So it's always moving 10, and then my if-then statement. So if the color of the bumper sees the wall, so if the color of the bumper sees the wall, then it's going to do whatever's inside this box. So let's start off by programming the colors first. So I say the color of the bumper, right, which is orange. So I'm going to click on this color, and I could try to find the orange, but that will never work out. So here's what I need to do. I need to click on the eyedropper. And now when I click on the eyedropper, it's going to allow me to pick up that orange. And you see how it's in the outline of my circle there? So now when I click on it, it automatically grabs the exact color that I created for that bumper. And when I say the touching the wall, so I'm going to go touching, I use the eyedropper again, touching the wall, it's going to do whatever's inside of this block. So now I have that programmed correctly, but I still didn't tell it anything to do. So now let's tell it to bounce off the wall. So instead of moving forward by 10, it's going to have to go backwards, or a negative number. And if I gave it a negative 10, 10 plus negative 10 is 0, so it should stop. So let's see what happens when I start this script. And it just stopped. Okay, great. So what I really would like for it to do is to bounce off that wall. When it hits, it's going to bounce off and go in reverse. So let's see how that could go. I need to move it back farther than 10. And if you adjust this move, I'm going to have to adjust the move back on everything as well. So I can go move negative 20. So now it's going to be going in reverse 10 because it's going forward 10. When it hits the wall, it's going to go reverse 20, or a sum of 10. So I'm going to hit the go here, Boom, 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 boom. And you can see it bounces off. It's so fast. It's so jittery. Maybe I could set a time delay on that. Let's try that. Let's go to control and wait. One second. There it is. Wait. So I could say wait 1 second. See how it performs. It's bouncing off and then bounces again, and that's a little bit too long. So let's try this. 0.2. Now when it goes. So that's a nice reaction now. But of course, it will never move. It'll never change. It'll just keep bouncing into the wall. And if my vacuum did this, it would never move to a new part of the room. Or if my lawnmower did this, it would only mow one strip of grass and then stop. So I do need to tell it to turn out of the situation that it's currently in. So I'm going to go to motion and say turn. So now when I look at my reaction here, it's bouncing, turning, bouncing, and turning. So that's a good start for my motion now. So my car successfully stays inside the rink. So now I'm ready to move on and create more bumper cars, because what's the fun of one bumper car? You need someone to run into. So I'm going to stop that script and create a new car. So that I don't get confused later on, I want to name blue so that I know when my script is on here that it's talking about the blue car, so I can name my sprites right here. And then I can also say, I could right click on that, or control, hold down control and click on my car and say duplicate. So now I have blue 2. But what I will do is just change the costume of blue 2. So I'll go over here to costumes and I will paint a new color. So let's pour a new color and let's go ahead and go with a red. And I'll pour it right over top. Boom. But I'm definitely going to need to change up the bumper as well. So to change up the bumper, and the bumper is actually a line and it's not a shape, so I need to go to the selection tool right here and then select clicking on the bumper, and it shows me that it is in fact a line, and you see the outline of orange over here. So let's choose yellow from this area right over here. We got yellow, makes it a bright yellow, and that's good for me. See that my car did in fact change color out here on the stage, and of course it's not blue anymore, so let's name this one red. I have the new red car right here. So I'm going to go over and check to see if that script actually transferred over as well when I duplicated the blue car and changed it red. So I go to code, and here I'm looking at the red car in my code, and in fact it did. However, the colors are not adding up here because there is no orange on the red car anymore, so that's not going to react to the wall. So all I have to do is just change this one color of orange to the yellow, and once again I will have a very hard time matching the exact yellow that I did, but I can get the exact match by using the eyedropper. So I'll come over here, I'll suck up some of that yellow, and it will tell me that it's now changed to yellow. So I hit the green flag now, and I'll see to make sure that the orange car, or the red car actually reacted the same way the blue car is reacting. So as I witness my cars driving around, I notice that they actually resist each other, but I didn't program them to resist each other. Why? Because there's a black outline around each car. And since the cars are reacting to the black barrier here, they will also react to the black outline that is around each car. So I have to go back to the costumes and take off that background. So I'm going to hit stop, come back over to my coding, or my costumes I should say, and go to blue. Now you see here it says the outline is black, so I just need to change that outline. I'm going to click on the item, both my selection tool, hit select first, click on my item. I got the handles around the square that is my car. It says the outline is black, and I just hit down over here and I'm going to say make the outline. I use my eyedropper once again, the color of the car itself, and now the color of the car and the outline is the exact same color as you see up here, and I click off of it, and it took that black outline off of my car. I'll need to do this with my red car as well. Now, while you were gone, I went ahead and took the black outline off of my red car, and now I'm going to check out the code, because now I need to tell my red car to resist the blue car, to bounce off of the blue car as well. Now, to do this, I could simply duplicate this if-then statement and then just change the colors. So I'm going to right-click or hold down the control button and click on the if and then say duplicate, and it gives me a whole new if-then statement with the moves and the turns, and everything is set. So I have the red car with the yellow bumper. I don't want it to resist the black barrier now. I want it to resist the blue car. Okay, so I just click on that, and I use my eyedropper from below down here, and I click on the blue car, and now it's saying the yellow bumper, when it touches the blue car, it's going to bounce off of the car, go -20, wait a quarter of a second, and then turn 15 degrees. So now I can test out my red car, and sure enough, he's bouncing off of the blue car and the barrier. So my red car is set. It resists the blue car and the barrier. But wait a minute. When I made the blue car, it didn't know about the red car. So the blue car also needs to be scripted correctly. So again, I can duplicate this script, drop it in, and all the if-then statements have to be on the same line, and if you're messing that up, you got to go back and make sure. So if I get an if-then statement inside of another if-then statement, only if the first happens will the second if happen. So I need to make sure that they are all on the same line. So I just corrected my script now, and I have my blue car. It's going to be bouncing off the black barrier, but then I also need to bounce off of the red car. So again, I will use my eyedropper, say red, and now I can test out my blue car right here against my red car. Let's see, I'll just put them like this. Here we go, and boom, 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 boom. And I see both cars are moving at the same time now, but let's test it out right here, just the blue one. Oh, and he got caught up because he was too far into the black barrier. So if he gets caught up, the bumper gets caught over top of the black, he will continue to go backwards. So I'm going to hit go now, and he's going too far again. So now you can see boom, 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 and he's bouncing off the red, and there you go. So now he's bouncing off the red and the barrier. Let's go ahead and add a third car. So I go ahead and click on the red car, right click on it, control click, or hit the right click on my mouse and say duplicate the car. And again, I need to adjust the costume of the new car to be a different color. So this one I can make green, and I'm going to use the fill feature here. So I can click on it, I can click on this square, or actually I could pour the paint, choose green to fill with, and it filled it in. However, you see the outline is still red. I don't want that. So I'm going to have to select my square and use the eyedropper to create the green. So I have green, green, and of course this, I use selection tool, click on the bumper. The bumper has to be a different color as well. So let's go ahead and give it some type of pink or purple. And that looks fantastic. Now I'm going to check out the code for this. So I click on the code, and again I have two things for it to bounce off of right now, but I have to program it for the color of the bumper. So I have my green car here, and I could see it's my green script here, so I'm not confused. My green car script, and I can name it green down here as well. Oh, right here. And I could say the color of the bumper. Remember, it's the color of the bumper that I'm using. The color of the bumper bounces off. That's the blue car. That's fantastic. It already has that. So I'm going to say the color of the bumper here bounces off the black barrier. That's fantastic. But now I'm missing one. I'm missing one. What happens when the green car bounces off the red car? Because I have the blue, I have the barrier, now I need to program it for the red car. So once again, duplicating the if then, and you know how to program the colors now, go ahead and program the green car to bounce off of the red car. So I went ahead and I programmed my purple, my green car, but the bumper on the green car to bounce off of the red car, and then I tested it out and it works. I want to test each car individually. However, I mentioned before that when I created the red and the blue cars down here, we did not know about the green car. The green car did not exist yet. So I need to make sure that the blue and the red are also going to see the green car. And you know how to do this. Go back to the blue script and duplicate one of these items right here. And it helps to duplicate the bottom one so that it's only one set of if-then, and it all has to be on the same line, and then I need to program it to bounce off of the green car. So I go ahead and I set it for the green car. You know how to do this. Go ahead and do it for the red one as well. The red needs to bounce off the green car. So now I'm going to test out all my cars. I have them all lined up and ready to smash into each other. So I'm going to hit the green flag on this, and I see that they are all bouncing off of each other. Okay, but again, this is a little bit boring. Why? Because they're all turning the same direction. And if they all turn the same direction, well, then that's no fun. So I'm going to do a few things to refine my script here so that things don't bounce out of the screen, and also so that they look they actually perform a little bit better. The first thing that I'm going to do is decrease the size of the car. So I go to blue, and instead of 100%, let's go 50%, and that'll make the car a little bit smaller. I can click on the green one, bring it down, and it automatically selects the green one to go 50%, and I could go 50% right here. So now I made that adjustment. However, they are all turning the same direction. And whoa, wait a minute, the red, I never programmed the red. I'll do that in a second. They're all turning the same direction. They're all turning right. When they hit the car, when they hit the barrier, I can also turn this to the left. So when it hits the blue car, it goes to the left. So I'm going to do -15. So now this won't turn right, it'll turn left because it's a negative number. And when it hits the barrier, I can say turning, say, 10 one way, and then when it hits the green car, maybe keep that turning right. So when it hits green, and then I'll go through and I'll go ahead and select a blue one, and I'll change up the direction of the turn for the blue one, and then go ahead and click on the green one and change the turn. Now I'm going to take this one step further for you. Not only can I give it standard numbers, okay, numbers that are, fixed numbers. It's always going to turn 15 when it hits the red car. When the green car hits the red car, it's always going to turn 15. I can change this up, though, by checking out operators over here. And I can pick a random number. So when it hits the red car, I can go anywhere from -30, I hit the tab key, takes me to the other one, to +30. So now it's either going to turn way left or way right or way in between, or maybe it doesn't turn at all. It could be a 0 because it's anywhere from -30 to 30. Okay, so then I can see how that performs. what I would like you to do is go through and do a random pick number for the turn on each one of your cars. So this one is the green car. Go ahead and do it for the red and the blue car. Just pick one of the things that it's going to hit and make that a random number. Now that I think it's all good, I will test it in a second here, but I want to make sure that I'm saving every so often. Come up here, hit save now, so that I'm sure that the project, I won't lose any data if the software quits out, if my browser quits. And now I just want to see how it's going to perform. So I'm going to align these cars so that they're going to hit each other quite quickly. Okay, and I'll hit green, or the green flag here, and you'll see that some cars are going left, some cars are going right. Sometimes they're hitting each other, sometimes they're not. Now that I'm sure that all cars actually bounce off of each other, I programmed them correct. And if you didn't, if I see that one car is going through another car, and I could test them individually too. I could step on one car individually. So I have the green car here. I could just test him against the blue car. That works. Test it against the barrier. That works. Test it against the red car. And that works too. Okay, and you could do that with each car. Once I'm sure that all the cars are bouncing off of everything else, I can align them in a fashion like this, and then put up my help card, call Mr. B over to get graded at my seat, and of course you're gonna do wonderful. This is gonna be fantastic, 100%, of course. I can't wait to see it. Call me over.